Look lads, if you don't laugh about it, you'll just cry about it. Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and today I am bringing you quite a substantial book haul. I don't know how this has happened, but I've got over 20 books to talk to you guys about today. Before we get into the books, I just want to say I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe and being kind to one another and washing your hands. And one thing I do want to say is that because of everything that's going on at the moment, the high street is going to be really suffering, particularly small independent businesses like small independent bookshops. So if you do fancy getting some books and you possibly can buy it from an independent bookshop, I would really encourage you to. Lots already have like online stores available, but even if they don't, a lot of independent bookshops are like saying that just send us a DM, give us a ring, and we will get a book to you. So if you possibly can support an independent bookshop at this time, I would really encourage you to. But anyways, let's just get into the books. I have so many to talk to you guys about, and I don't really know what order I'm going to talk about them in, but we'll see how it goes. The first book I have is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. I am obsessed with everything about the design of this book. I have the Waterstones exclusive edition and it has the most stunning sprayed edges. I am such a slut for a sprayed edge. I first found out about this book when it was chosen for Reese Witherspoon's book club, and I find that myself and Reese Witherspoon, you know, our tastes in books tend to align. If she's enjoyed something, chances are I will love it too. And this is a book about a woman who is apprehended at a supermarket when it is believed she has kidnapped the white child that she is babysitting. It sets off this explosive chain of events, and her employer, a woman named Alex, is a feminist blogger and she's determined to help and set things right, and this book's about the connection between these two women. This book has a lot to do with privilege and it is one of my most anticipated reads. I'm certain I'm gonna love this one. Next I have Kismet by Luke Tredget. I'd not heard of this book until I saw it in a bookshop and I was just so drawn to like the cover design, and when I read the back of it I was like, this is definitely a book for me. This is about Anna, who has a big birthday round the corner and she seems to have everything she could possibly want in life. She's got a great job, she's got a boyfriend that like she really likes. She should feel like everything about her life has fallen into place, but something isn't quite right for her and she downloads the app Kismet. This book is a romantic comedy. It's been referred to as Black Mirror meets Bridget Jones, and that was the thing that made me buy this book. Next I have A Love Story for Bewildered Girls by Emma Morgan. I picked this one up in my local book swap, and this is a book that follows the lives of 3 different women and their romantic and sexual relationships. From what I can gather from the blurb of this book, one of these women is a lesbian, one of them is straight, and one of them is bisexual or bi-curious. I haven't read the book yet, so I don't know if that's actually the case, but there is definitely a lot of queer representation in this book. I'm a sucker for a good love story, whether they go well or not, and I love books told from different women's perspectives, so I think I'm really gonna like this one. Next, I have A Strange Hotel by Emer McBride. I spoke about this in my recent video for the Irish Readathon, where I spoke about some of my favourite Irish female writers. This is Emer McBride's new book. I've read her 2 previous books, The Girl is a Half-Formed Thing and The Lesser Bohemians, and I loved both of those, so I have quite high hopes for this one. This is a proof copy that a friend passed on to me, and I don't really know much about this book other than it is about a woman who is going into various hotel rooms. A little bit of a change in tone and subject, I have The Damned United by David Peace. This is a novel where a football manager named Brian Clough is the protagonist. He was a very controversial figure in the 1970s who was the Leeds United manager. I've read a few novels that are focused on football, which is something that I love, but actually use that as a vehicle to talk about like wider societal issues, and I think this is going to be something that is dealt with in this book. I'm not sure, but I also think it would be really fascinating to see how the author deals with writing someone that actually existed. I recently went to an event at HQ, who are a publishers that I really love, and I was very lucky to be able to get my hands on quite a few proofs when I was there, but also one finished copy, and that is The Family Tree by Sarish Hussain. I believe this book opens when a father is dealing with the grief after the loss of his wife and coming to terms with the fact that he's not only lost her, but he is now caring for their 2 small children. Years later, we follow both of these children as adults. One of them has just finished university and is celebrating, but then the night turns dangerous with devastating effects. And we follow the daughter, who is really into politics and activism and has such high aspirations, but she finds herself being her father's only source of comfort and dealing with how to balance those 2 things. It's a story about a British Muslim family, and I've heard lots of good things about this one, so I am looking forward to it. Next, I have All About Us by Tom Allen. This is a proof copy, of course, and this is a Christmas festive romance, and I love that shit. We follow Tom, who feels like Christmas is lacking a bit of magic because his marriage to Daphne is on the rocks. When an old flame of his, Alice, gets in touch, he begins to feel a little bit curious about what could have been. And then on Christmas Eve, he is given a watch. And when he opens his eyes the next day, he is catapulted back to 2005, to the night where he first kissed Daphne and left his feelings for Alice behind. He is faced with one of the biggest decisions he will ever make. These next few books I am going to whiz through because it is quite a while until they come out, and I know it can be frustrating hearing about books that are really exciting when you can't get your hands on them yet. So we have Asking for a Friend by Andy Osho. You can tell how early on it is in the process for this book because it's a wire around proof. You may recognise the name Andy Osho because she's quite a well-known comedian. That's how I'd heard of her before. But this book sounds amazing. It is about the friendship between 3 women who are dissatisfied by the dating scene. They decide they're going to get rid of their dating apps, and they come up with a plan that will find love for all of them. And that involves asking men out on dates. But the catch is they can only ask out men for each other. Hence, Asking for a Friend. This sounds like so much fun. I love dating books that have a bit of a twist to them, and I love books that are focused on female friendship as well. I also have No Regrets by Tabitha Webb. This is another book that is focused on the female friendship between 3 characters. All I really know about this book is that it's quite smutty and that there's queer representation in it as well. Honestly, you stick a peach in anything and I'm gonna want it. Next we have We Are Not Like Them by Christine Pride and Joe Piazza. This is a book about the lifelong friendship between 2 women, one who is a black journalist and the other is a working class white woman whose husband happens to be a police officer, and when her husband becomes involved in a shooting of an unarmed black teenager, it makes things very complicated for the friendship between this pair. I think this is such an important topic that we need to continue talking about, but I also think this is a really interesting perspective that I've never really seen depicted anywhere before. I think it's going to be a really hard-hitting and at times very difficult novel, but it's what I'm really looking forward to reading. And the final book I have from the HQ event is We Just Clicked by Annabelle. This book sounds so cheesy, but I am so here for it. I think this book follows 2 online influencers who decide they're gonna start fake dating in order to build up their following, and it really starts working. But when our main character meets a man that she is actually interested in dating, she has to choose between pursuing that romance and continuing the fake dating that will bolster her career. I just think it's a really fun idea and I'm really looking forward to reading this one. And finally, I have quite a few books for teens and younger readers to talk about. Firstly, I have You Must Be Layla by Yasmin Abdel-Majid. This one was very kindly sent to me by Puffin Books, so thank you very much for sending this one my way. This is about a young girl named Layla who has started a new school, a very fancy, posh new school, after she won a very prestigious scholarship. She really stands out at this school, one because she's the only kid there that wears a headscarf, but also for some other reasons as well, and she finds herself in trouble on her first day when she stands up to a bully. This also follows Layla as she tries to invent something which could win a big robotics competition, and I love reading books about young girls being interested and getting into STEM subjects. So I think this is going to be a great one. If you read Connie Huck's book, Cookie, then I think this is one that you might like as well. I also really love books about young girls getting into sport, and that is why I decided to pick up Patina by Jason Reynolds. This is part of a series called Run Club, which follows 4 kids from different and diverse backgrounds who have been chosen for an elite running team. I don't think you need to have read the first book in this series to get the other ones. I think they stand as independent stories. In this one, we follow Patty, who is super competitive. She doesn't think it's the taking part that matters, it's the winning that matters. And it also follows her starting a new school as well. I think this is going to be a great read, and I have heard so many good things about Jason Reynolds as a writer. Next, I have It Only Happens in the Movies by Holly Bourne. I've read quite a few Holly Bourne books, but I haven't read one in quite a long time. She writes fiction for grown-ups as well as teenagers, and this is one of her YA novels that follows the romance between Audrey and Harry. And Audrey feels kind of cautious about Harry because he feels like every kind of romantic, like rom-com cliche rolled into one. But she still chooses to let him into her heart. I can't help it, I'm a sucker for a good YA romance, and I think Holly Bourne is a fantastic writer, so I think I'm gonna really enjoy this one. Another YA romance I have is P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. I read the first book in this series, To All the Boys I Loved Before, I think last year. Whenever the film came out, that's when I read it. And I do want to read this second book before I watch the film adaptation on Netflix, even though it's been out for quite a while now. In the first book, we followed the blossoming romance between Lara Jean and Peter Kavinsky as they start fake dating but then realise they might actually have feelings for each other. Lara Jean is already super confused about this, and things get even more confusing when a boy from her past shows up. I was so hyped for the release of the second film, and I don't know why I haven't got around to reading the book yet, so I think it's going to be one that I read pretty soon. Next, I have Asha and the Spirit Bird by Jasbinder Bilan. In this book, we follow, of course, Asha, who lives at the foothill of the Himalayas. Money is extremely tight for her family, and she really misses her father, who is working in the city and sending money back home. When he stops sending money back home, a ruthless moneylender ransacks their home, and her mother talks about them leaving. Asha makes a pact with her best friend that they will go and find her father and make things right again. But this is going to be a very dangerous story. I don't think I've ever read a book that is anything like this one sounds. And can we just look at this stunning cover? I'm really excited to read this one. Next, I have Beyond Platform 13 by Sybil Pounder and Eva Ibbotson. I read the first book in this series in February? Yeah, in February, and I massively loved it. I thought it was so much fun. It's about a magical island called Mist, and the mist that protects this island is disappearing. Prince Ben and Oj Gribble, who we met in the first book, are desperate to find out what's happening. So Oj, a hag, travels to Vienna in search of a mist maker expert. But instead, she finds a 9-year-old girl who would like an adventure. This one was written by Sybil Pounder, but it is inspired by Eva Ibbotson's original story. You don't need to have read the first one, The Secret of Platform 13, in order to read this one, but I loved the first one, so I would of course recommend, if this sounds like something you would enjoy, if you love some middle grade fantasy, reading both books. I have 4 books I'm going to quickly whiz through because they are picture books all by the same writer. So I have Little Red by Bethan Woolven, Rapunzel by Bethan Woolven, Hansel and Gretel by Bethan Woolven, and her latest book, I Can Catch a Monster. These 3 are all fairy tale retellings that have a really fun, empowering, feminist, female-focused, girl-focused twist to them. This one, I Can Catch a Monster, follows a similar theme, and it is all about, like, girls doing stuff, going on adventures, but it is an original story about a little girl named Bo, who believes that she can catch a monster. I love Bethan's illustration style. I think her books are great, so I'm really looking forward to like snuggling down with these. I think it will be a really calming moment for me amongst all the chaos that's occurring at the moment. So that is it. They are all the books that I'm going to talk about today. Do leave me a comment down below if you've read any of them or if you're interested in reading them. Also, do let me know what you're currently reading at the moment. I would love to have a chat about that. I hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you in my next video.